All right, so thank you everybody for joining the first ever gpknews.com 10 questions with a video interview. We're very happy to have Tobin Lent. He is the Vice President at Tops over Tops Digital. Thanks for joining us, Tobin. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Joe?
I'm doing good, doing really good. We have you on today to talk about the upcoming OS2 GPK release on the Wax blockchain. But I have a bunch of questions I want to get into with you first before we get into all the nitty-gritty details. So we'll make some folks watch the interview first before they get some details from you. So talk a little bit about, you're the Vice President over Tops Digital. Can you give us a brief overview, kind of what that entails?
Absolutely. So, Tops has really three main businesses. We have the candy business that a lot of people are familiar with, Bazooka Bubblegum, Ring Pops, those kinds of things. The second business is our traditional physical cards, which of course everybody's aware of, Garbage Pail Kids, baseball, MLB baseball, a variety of other things. And then there's the digital business, and I run that digital business. And that consists of right now a portfolio of mobile apps that you can download on the Apple App Store or Google Play. And we have some very big properties there. On the entertainment side, we have Star Wars, which I personally love. We have Marvel, also I love that. We have WWE and Disney, so some big properties there. On the sports side, of course, we have MLB, baseball, we have NHL hockey, and a lot of big soccer licenses, such as Bundesliga and UEFA and MLS. And so that's a big part of my job, is managing that side of the business. And kind of a new area for me is other digital platforms. And of course, blockchain is one of those platforms. And so we're really starting to explore that because we think the technology is very promising for digital collectibles.
Right. So now this is going to be the fourth GPK release for Tops on the Wax blockchain. And I know this project just didn't, the first release I want to say was March or April earlier this year when OS1 was released. This took a while, right? You worked with Wax for a good year and a half, 2 years, right, to get this project off the ground and bring it to fruition?
Yeah, that's right. And, we were pretty cautious about it. I've been at Tops for a couple of years, and we started looking at blockchain from day one because, again, we think it was a very promising platform and technology, but we wanted to be careful, and our approach was going to be to make maybe a small bet or a couple small bets and learn as much as we could from it. And so we were out scouring the blockchain universe for really good platforms and technologies and teams that we could work with, and we landed on Wax, who we had met about a year ago and just had a very good rapport with them. We liked the fact that they had managed a big digital goods marketplace previously and really focused on the user experience, which is the collector experience, which is very important to us. And so we went with them, and our first release, we wanted it to be around our own property, so we had some creative control and could experiment. And we had some flexibility, so we chose Garbage Pail Kids as the first launch.
Right. And that makes a lot of sense to me too, just because you guys own it. You don't have to get anyone's approval, anyone else's approval for anything. So you guys can kind of make all the decisions on your own, and it helps with the speed of things, I imagine.
That's right. Sure does. It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. So I want to get into kind of the Garbage Pail Kid collector because, when I first became aware of this, probably a lot of Garbage Pail Kid collectors, was when the announcements first started coming out that this was coming. And I mean, I was ignorant to the crypto space, to the blockchain. I didn't know what a blockchain was or anything like that. I still probably don't know a whole lot, but I can tell you the last 6 months, I've learned a ton. So my point of view is kind of coming from that space. And I think it's a lot of space that other Garbage Pail Kid collectors are coming from as well. So being with it 6 months, I could tell you, when I got into it, I'm on all the Facebook Garbage Pail Kid group forums. There's a message board online. There's all kinds of places where we hang out and geek out together, right, on Garbage Pail Kids. There's a good, solid, hardcore base of Garbage Pail Kid fans, as you know. So when word first came down about this, there was a lot of hesitation from current Garbage Pail Kid collectors on, digital cards and stuff like that. So I want to kind of get your opinion on a couple things, and kind of go over some of their objections, just to kind of see what your opinion is, on those things, and why maybe collectors aren't willing to try this out yet, and try to get them on board and just to give it a shot. One of the things, and I don't necessarily buy into this argument at all, but one of the big arguments from collectors is, well, it's just a JPEG, right? I'm just collecting a JPEG. I can copy the JPEG from the blockchain, and look, I have it. I didn't have to pay for it. I have it. So what do you say to those folks? What's the argument for it's just a JPEG? Why would I want to do it?
Well, a physical card is just a piece of cardboard.
Right.
I think the great thing about collecting is the way a collector feels about something special, right? And I work with my physical counterpart at Topps, who does all the physical cards, and we're in sync in terms of how we think about this space. Is that people love to collect things for different reasons, and I think people will collect physical things for different reasons than they would digital. And this is based on my experience running these digital apps that we have, and we have a very large, robust customer base of folks that trade, buy these digital collectibles and trade them. And it's just a little bit different. And that's what I think is great about it. So I don't think they're mutually exclusive, but the digital realm is just a little different, where, you are collecting these things because you love it. And by the way, I'm in the apps myself because I love Star Wars and I love what comes out and I love the art and I love to collect it and have it part of my collection. And there's something special about digital, which is you're part of an immediate global community who you can trade with at any time, instantly, communicate with instantly, and kind of share your content with. And that's kind of unique to digital. So it's a lot more about the community, but it's still about collecting those things. What's interesting about blockchain specifically is when you buy a digital collectible, it is a very real thing, and it's very unique, and you own it. And one thing that's also interesting about the blockchain is once it's minted on the blockchain, it's created. It's again, like I said, unique, but you can actually trace its history. Who's owned it, who's traded it. Was it just a trade for another card? Was it for money? Whatever else. And that transparency is very interesting. So it is another form to me of collecting that's just a little bit different.
Right. And that makes perfect sense to me. A lot of the arguments, well, it's a JPEG, they can be faked. Well, they can't, like you said, because they're on the blockchain. If that one you have, everything's traceable, from history to how much it sold for, to who traded it to who. It's all on there. It's very transparent, which in my mind, because I have used a couple of the Topps apps before. I messed around with Topps Bunt a few years ago. I did that. I'm a big baseball fan. I like baseball. I checked out the WWE app when you guys did the Garbage Pail Kids stickers on the WWE app. I want to say maybe last year. So that was cool. So I checked that out and was able to collect those, which was kind of fun. But the blockchain, to me, solves a few problems with the digital side of the apps, which is like there's no selling mechanism on Bunt, right? You can trade with each other, but if I want to sell cards for money, it's hard to do. I'd have to go to eBay, which is kind of skirting around their rules. And, is someone really going to transfer me the digital asset? Is it really going to go through? If it doesn't, I have to fight through eBay. Whereas the blockchain, it's just instant. It transfers immediately, and that as a seller, you get your money immediately.
Yeah, for sure. And that's huge. And that's actually one of the biggest reasons we were attracted to blockchain. In our mobile apps, like you say, there are a lot of users that will go on to eBay to sell their digital collectibles, which again means that they ascribe a lot of value to it, and other people do too. And what's great about the blockchain is it's just, again, that transparency, that it's immediate, it's safe, it's secure, and you can sell or trade, your cards to really anybody or buy something from them. And it makes it a seamless and trusted transaction.
Right. So the other big objection I get from the old school collectors is, and this one I understand, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, and it may be a little bit harder to get around, but we're older, right? The group of Garbage Pail Kid collectors that came out in the 80s, right? So it's when we were 10, 12 years old, So now we're in our mid 40s, approaching 50, right? So I guess we're the old ones now. So we like to flip through we like to feel the pack. We like to open the wax pack. We like to thumb through the cards, turn them around, look at the backs, put them in binders, put them in sheets, and then pull out the binder and flip through and look at our cards. I think that's one of the enjoyments a lot of Garbage Pail Kid collectors, especially because a lot of them are focused on the art. The art's a big deal to Garbage Pail Kid collectors. I think they like having that in front of them to flip through and look at. So how do you get around that objection of just people just like the physical touch, the touch and feel more?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point. I'm the same way. I collect a lot of physical things. I just got a great Cal Ripken card from our Project 2020,
Right.
project. And it's just different to me. They're not mutually exclusive. It does feel wonderful to have a physical collectible of any kind, to see it, to touch it, to flip through it, to share, with friends. But I think it's different. So the digital collectibles are unique in their own way. And what's interesting that we're doing is we can do some things in digital that you can't do in physical. So one example, we did an amazing Derek Jeter set where we did an interview with him about his career and his reflections on his career, his teammates, rivals, best moments, those kinds of things. And we took that audio and we incorporated it into some collectibles around him as a player. And so that's something that's incredibly unique. You're really collecting something that you can't get in physical. And I think those are some of the kinds of advantages that we have. Same thing, for signatures around GPK, to be able to get a signature of an artist that animates in real time and potentially has a video of them actually signing. So I think it's just, again, it's very different, a different experience. And my recommendation always is just to give it a shot.
Okay, so continuing, I think there has been a group. I will say, when it first launched, there was a good group of people who were interested in it and wanted to dabble in it. And I think one of the things, and I mean, this is probably true with all new endeavors, is onboarding people and kind of the struggles initially. And I think some things have gotten better, but I want to get your opinion on some of these things. Creating the initial wax wallet is easy. It takes someone 30 seconds. They can get in there, create a wax wallet, and buying packs, easy process. You enter your credit card, you get your packs, open them. That's all really easy. I think what a lot of collectors had problems with is kind of the after that, right? Was what do I do with it? Where do I sell it? Explaining that, and then having the whole crypto thing be part of it, and needing the wax tokens if I wanted to go out and buy cards to complete my set. The onboarding with wax was a difficult process. I can tell you from my own experience when it first happened, right? I had to find a website that would take my credit card. It took 3 different tries before one would even accept my card to buy wax. Then I had to find another website or I had to buy Bitcoin. Then I had to find another website to take the Bitcoin, transfer that into wax. Then I had to transfer that from that website over to my wax wallet, so I had the wax available to buy stuff. So what are your thoughts about the whole onboarding process, and what are you and wax kind of working on to make things easier for collectors?
Well, that's a great question, Jeff, and kind of the question. In order for blockchain to go mainstream, the ease of use has to be there. It has to be as easy as setting up an account and buying anything else. And we're working on that. It's not perfect yet. I think it's going to be a lot better even with this Series 2 release than it was before. But it's just one of those things that are a little bit unique to blockchain. So we're working on that. And I can guarantee you that with every release, we're going to make it easier and it's going to get better. And I know Wax is really working really hard on that as well. The one thing I will say is, despite those difficulties, one thing to think about, and that I think about as a collector too, is this is historic what's happening. This is the very first time that Garbage Pail Kids is being presented on a digital platform. And it's the Series 2 will be minted for the very first time on the blockchain. And so, for $10, and this is all going to grow. Blockchain's not going anywhere. This is going to get bigger and bigger. And, it really is, to me, a great time to get in early, even if it's just for a little bit of money, just to try it out, and you have something of value. So.
Right. And I think I buy your argument. I think there are a number of collectors who do want to try it out. And I think as things get easier, it'll be easier for them to onboard, ones that want to dabble in it. So let me ask you this, because I think, after being around this for 6 months, and I'm part of all the Telegram groups, and I see all the crypto guys talk about the sets and everything, and part of the Facebook Garbage Pail Kid groups, where they kind of poo-poo the idea. I've come to the conclusion, and see if you agree with me or not, that there's one really good way to get the collectors on board. And that is to take, insert a redemption card into physical packs and say, hey, here's a redemption card. Go create an account, sign on, get a free pack or a free Garbage Pail Kid card for a set, whatever it may be. To me, that's kind of how you get the masses, at least the Garbage Pail Kid collectors, to join. What do you think about that idea?
I think it's a great idea. And in fact, I am talking to my counterpart that is the brand manager on Garbage Pail Kids, and we're looking at the physical roadmap, and we're going to do exactly that. So we think it would be a great way, to get folks in, obviously as part of the cost already, and hopefully they give it a shot. I think it's a great idea.
Okay. I think that'll do it. I think if you do that, you're going to get people who are just, it also adds value to the physical stuff as well on the physical side. Really, it adds quite a bit of value there as well. So let's talk about the current group of people. I want to ask you some questions around the current group who have adopted it and are kind of going through the process. To me, there's kind of a couple groups of people who have been collecting the NFTs so far on the blockchain. You got the crypto guys who were familiar with the Wax project. They're supporting the Wax project. They hold the cryptocurrency. They're looking for it to do well. And they're all in on almost every NFT release I see. Because Wax has done more than just Tops, right? They had a William Shatner release. They had a Blockchain Heroes, kind of an independent release that was pretty popular. There's been all kinds of things since Tops. Tops is kind of the first one to kind of break the mold, but there's been additional ones. So the crypto guys are in, and then you have your separate group of GPK collectors like myself who have kind of dug in and done the work and learned about it and are collecting it. And there is a group of folks who are doing that, which is great. So kind of some of the things we've seen so far is there's been, at least with the initial sale on packs, every release from Wax, there's been almost a different type of air that happens, right? Because who knew this was going to be this popular? I think when OS1 released, it was kind of, I'm not sure you guys knew, right? You guys didn't know how popular this was going to be right off the bat. But you guys sold out within a few hours, and after that it took off, whereas every release was bang, everybody wants it, put your credit card in, and just massive overload. So kind of talk about what have you guys worked with Wax on to kind of overcome some of those initial distribution problems that we've seen?
Yeah, and it's we were surprised early on, and we've learned with each release, and we continue to learn, and we apply those learnings going forward and hopefully make it better. But we've been really surprised. I mean, the first Series 1 sold out in about 24 hours, which surprised us. That was very fast. Then we went out with, Goes Exotic, and that sold out in like 24 minutes.
Yeah, right.
It was a pretty different experience, and it wasn't entirely good. Our big thing at Tops is about their collector experience, and it's not good when collectors can't get access to the content. I mean, there is the element of scarcity, and sometimes you don't always get what you want, but you should have access. So that wasn't a good experience. Mm-hmm. And we actually did during our Fan Fest, our digital Fan Fest, DigiCon, we did a small drop of content for Wax only, and that was out in seconds. So I was kind of thinking, what's the next one? Milliseconds. So what we've done with Series 2 is we've applied a lot of those learnings, and we're creating a bigger set, multiple packs that have unique variants in each pack. And what our hope is now it's going to give a lot more time to collectors to get in and get content. So we'll let the market determine that. With anything where there's a limited number that you're selling, there's always the issue of people coming in and trying to get it as fast as they can. That's a tough one to solve. You can offer it something for a period of time, which we may do at some point, but we didn't want to do it with Series 2. Mm-hmm. So we'll offer a fixed number of packs, but we think that we've structured it in a way and solved some of those technical problems to make sure that people have access.
Right. And that's kind of the catch-22, which I guess is a good problem to have, right? Because you're selling the product, which is good. If you weren't selling the product, that's a whole different issue, right? So, the problem, I guess, is how do you balance the people with the money who want to go in, and their whole theory is, I just want everything I can get so I can flip it on the market and make money on it, versus, like you say, trying to get collectors the best chance to at least they get a few packs as well, right? That's kind of the catch-22 for you.
Absolutely. So again, I want to go back. We are all about the collector experience and making sure collectors have access. So we are going to have some limits on there. You only be able to spend a certain amount each time, and you'll only be able to buy a few times at that limit. Now, people can spin up multiple accounts. People can be very resourceful, but again, we've then addressed that problem by just making it overall a big set, but still making sure that the card counts are going to be really good and there's rarity and scarcity. So we think we've gotten a long way to solving a lot of those problems this time around, in addition to some technical fixes that should make it easier.
Right. I want to ask a question kind of on the rarity scarcity, because I collected baseball cards as well since I was a little kid, right? And all through the years. I haven't as much recently, but I did for a number of years. And Topps has always seemed, at least on the physical business, to not, I don't want to say they don't care about the secondary market, but it's not a huge concern for Topps, right? They make the packs, sell them to distributors, get the product out there. They're not concerned about future value necessarily, or there's a disclaimer on every pack and everything like that. But I think almost on the digital side, you almost have to be aware of the secondary market, don't you? And kind of how you play with the scarcity numbers, because OS1 was a small set scarcity-wise. You don't know how it's going to sell. So those are worth a lot more. Kind of the exotic, it's a smaller card number of set, right? It's only just a few number of cards. It's a smaller set. Plus there's more cards available. So it kind of affects the value. So how do you take that in play when you're creating these sets?
Yeah, well, we think about it a lot. Like I said, we learned a lot from Series 1. We learned a lot from Goes Exotic, because I think a lot of folks were not happy that there were so many of the common cards out there. Because, like you said, there were fewer number of unique cards. So for Series 2, we factored all of that in, but we do look at the secondary market. We want it to be robust. And the other thing that we look at, Jeff, is we think about, we're in this business for the long haul. Right. And we also think about the long-term experience as well as the short-term. So we're not structuring this in a way to create amazing opportunities to flip the cards immediately. Right. There will be, for sure, especially if you get some, and that's what you want to do. But we want it to be really a healthy long-term secondary market. So those are the things that we're thinking about. And the other thing to think about is these are early days in the Wax platform. Right. The universe is fairly small. And so this Series 2, again, going back to how historic it is, down the road, 3 years or so, when Wax is much bigger, these early mints, some of the first NFTs, as they're called, these digital collectibles minted on the platform, will be incredibly valuable. Right. So that's what we think about. It's not just short-term, but kind of long-term. How is this gonna play out in the secondary market and for collectors? Right.
And that's one of the comments you made kind of leads me into my next question. It's kind of, this whole scene, since I got into it this last 6 months, it kind of seems like the wild, wild west almost. It's an interesting concept, because all of the tools, the markets available online to sell things, various tools to get information on the blockchain, are all very independent creations they're not large corporations, large businesses creating these websites, right? To me, it's a bunch of really smart guys who know how to code, who are into the crypto blockchain space, and they have created marketplaces. They've created various tools and resources for collectors to sell these things and to get information on them. And it's a different concept than a big mass marketed product that you go walk to Target or Walmart to buy.
That was interesting, because when the first series came out, one thing that surprised me was the ecosystem that grew out of it very quickly. And what's different about blockchain is, like you said, it's not really centralized. So it's up to developers to create marketplaces and things like that. And ultimately one will win, and that will be the central marketplace. But at the moment, there are a few kind of popped up: GPK Market, collectibles, those types of things. Right. And so this, unfortunately, makes it a little more confusing for the user, the collector, to figure out where to go, which is unfortunate. But they do exist. But it is up to that general community to develop the infrastructure and the support system. Right. But it does create an opportunity as well. I'm kind of excited to see game developers come in, and we've said openly we
Yeah.
support this to create games around the cards that are out there, because they can go create a game and then say, hey, you can use your the cards in your GPK collection to go play this game. So we're
Right.
excited about that opportunity.
And that was one of the questions I was going to ask you later on. So you guys are open to having the GBK cards used in other developers' games if possible.
Yeah, we're totally open to that. I mean, obviously, it's our property. We're trying to build a business around it. We want to be careful about that. We also want to make sure it's appropriate. But aside from all that, we're super supportive of that, and we hope that developers will go out there and create some games.
How about you guys? Is that something that you would consider creating on your end, a game to incorporate the cards at all?
Yeah, we've talked about it. It's a little bit tangential to what we do primarily, but we've thought about it. My background is in games. That's what I've done most of my career. So be a natural fit, but it just has to be the right game at the right time.
Okay. One more question before you get into OS2 details. I want to kind of talk about the existing GPK wax site where we purchase the packs from, and the cards are held. You go to open them, you hold them in your collection, and there's a little bit of trading that can be done on there. I want to say, I don't know that site has necessarily gotten the love or attention that it could have since the initial launch. Is there any plans to make the user experience, because when we onboard new collectors, it's kind of their first view of the project before they start going to these third-party sites. So has there been any talks about kind of updating that site with the user experience?
Yeah, there definitely is, Jeff, and it's a great point because if you look at our mobile apps, they're very feature rich, and I think even they've evolved since you probably last played Bunt and
Right.
Slam. But we put a lot into it, so you can trade with folks, you can follow them, you can showcase your collectibles, all of those different things. And since we're so early in the blockchain, it is a pretty rudimentary app and website right now. But so we will continue to add to it and build features. It will get better, but you're right. It's pretty basic now, but it'll get better.
Okay, that's good to hear. All right, so let's talk OS2. Let's see how many details I can try to get out of here. So I know yesterday you were able to share a little bit of information with GPK News, so I thank you for that. We got a list of all the different parallel cards being offered. I don't know if you have anything there you can share with the video here, if you want to show any of the animations or not as we're talking.
Yeah, I definitely do. So, we really thought a lot about this set. We wanted to make it delightful, and we wanted to put a lot into it so that there were a lot of chase elements and that everybody would get a little bit, no matter what. One of the interesting things I'll tell you that has not been disclosed yet, and we weren't quite sure if technically we could do it, but now we know we can, is each of those levels of packs. So the $10 standard pack, the $25 mega pack, and the $50 ultimate pack is going to have a unique variant in it.
Oh, okay.
So, in order to get a shot at all of those variants, you have to buy all the packs. But the intent was not to buy all the packs. The intent was to give people that would buy in the $10 packs something different than the folks buying the $50. You do have a shot across all those packs of getting the very, very rare stuff, like the collector's edition and the epics.
Okay.
But there are some rare variants that are unique to each pack, so we think that's going to be fun. And as I mentioned to you before, and I'm going to share my screen, the cool thing about digital is you can do different things. There's really no limit to the creative palette. So I'm going to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay, hold on just a second. Now you should be able to see my screen.
It's loading here. Yeah, there we go.
Fantastic. So I'm going to show you just some of the variants and some of the collector's edition cards. Do you see?
Great. What's that? One more time, Tobin?
Is there movement around the frame?
Yeah, there is. The gum's kind of stretchy there.
That's awesome. So this here is our gum variant. So again, a little bit different than you'd see in a physical card. You've got some animation there.
Looks great.
And this here is Jolted Joel, which is I think probably my favorite character in Series 2. But got this really nice slime effect in the background.
Okay.
That's another of the rare variants.
Awesome.
This one, again, is a really cool one. This is what we'll call, this is be in the collector's edition.
Okay.
It's a relic, but the relic animates. So you can see that in the middle here for Hot Scott, there's kind of this lava, molten lava with some, flames and fire and that kind of sparks, all that good
Right.
stuff.
Very neat.
Now, the stuff that I really like is what we did here. So the static art already has a lot of life in Garbage. It's already great. But one of the things we can do in digital is to kind of take another step and breathe further life into it, as we've done with these cards. So these are all animated. All of these beloved characters and cards now are animated. And it really came out fantastic, in my opinion. There's an artist that we're working with, Justin Gammon, who's just done a great job here. And you can see some of the detail. I love the little people running for their lives at the bottom here.
No, those are great. And it's awesome that you picked up Justin to do the work, because I know a few months ago he posted a couple of just kind of on his own hobbyist sort of thing. So that's awesome that you guys picked him up for some of the work.
Yeah, he's great. And, that's what I love about this space. You get some really creative folks, and we're always looking for the best artists out there, the most creative people to create new things in digital. And this is a classic example of this. I'll go on to the next one. Cyclops again, kind of fun. You can see the boat going up and the entire earth shaking as he's moving around.
Oh yeah.
And
that's good stuff.
Is old Disgusting Justin. Of course, we're not condoning drinking and driving.
Well, it's good to see the beer can there, because in past sets and years past, Topps has gone back and forth from taking the beer can out to putting it back in. So it's good to see the beer can in there.
It is an O'Doul's, so nothing to worry about.
Exactly. There you go.
So yeah, so that's kind of a little bit of what's coming.
Those are great. So let me ask you some of the details, see what you can reveal around the set. So you mentioned already the 3 different pack types, which is great. Are you able to tell us how many cards are going to come in each one of those packs? What a collector's going to get for that?
We're going to keep that quiet until actual launch day.
Okay.
We're going to let the market figure out how many packs they want to buy. The thing I can tell you that we've done is we thought very carefully about the structure of the set and the scarcity and the rarity and card counts. And so overall inventory is one thing. Series 1 was over 100,000 cards, and Goes Exotic was over, I think, 240,000.
Right.
But it's really about how many unique cards are in that set and in that inventory, and what those card counts look like. So that's actually what we thought about. There's just going to be a lot to chase. Everybody's going to get different things, and if it all works out, I'm sure the math is going to be fine on it. The card counts will be low, even on the base cards.
Right. So let's talk about kind of some of the actual details of the set itself. Maybe you can talk more about this. So you have all of the regular base cards from OS2 are going to be in there, and I see you guys decided to add the returning cards that debuted in the Chrome OS2 series to the set. Now, are those part of the base set, or is that a separate, randomly kind of scarcer subset to find?
Yeah, that's going to be a separate set. That'll be uncommon.
Okay.
And we also have, of course, the C names that are part of the base.
I saw that as well. Yes. So that'll be one of the things to hunt for.
Yeah, but we'll have those will be an uncommon card.
Okay. Very cool. So then you have, I think, maybe 5 different parallel cards. So all the base cards can be found in, like, they're all available in the gum type, and they're all available in the slime type. Is that how it's working?
That's correct. So all of those, 42 AB will be available in those variants: the slime, the gum, the sketch, and then we have a super rare VHS, which should be very cool.
Okay, very cool. Now, how about the relics and the animated ones? Those aren't going to be all of them, right? Those are just kind of limited to a certain number that you guys are doing? Yeah,
that's right. It'll still be based on odds, but it'll be a lot harder to get, and they'll be available in every single pack.
But there's only you're not doing every character in an animated version, right?
No, we're not.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's a good controversial question that has come up dozens of times on both the Facebook and the Telegram groups that everyone wants to know. So let's see if you're willing to reveal the answer or not. So our friend Schizo Fran, when Topps initially released OS2 back in '85, there are 3 printings of the initial set because it just blew up, got so popular, and the first 2 printings had the Schizo name. Well, because of the connotation of the name, Topps decided to change that, and Fran replaced Schizo Fran in the set for the 3rd printing. And Schizo has never been seen since '85. Is Schizo still going to stay on the shelf, or we're going to see Schizo in this set?
I want to think about how to answer this. All I'm going to say is, in the effort to always delight collectors,
yes,
we've tucked some surprises in there.
Well, that's okay. That's a good answer. I like that answer. That'll make people happy. I think they've been waiting for her return. So hopefully that means she might pop up somewhere. So that's good information on the set. I know you guys are still shooting for the 30th, which is next Wednesday for the release.
That's right.
Is it going to be 12 noon Eastern? Is that kind of what you guys are shooting for?
It might be a little bit later than that. Don't hold me to it, but we're trying to find a time zone, which is a little bit tricky. That's gonna, we understand there are collectors from all over the world, so we're trying to say, okay, what kind of works best for United States and everywhere else.
Right.
So it might be a little bit later East Coast time. It might be closer to something like 4 or 5, something like that.
Can you talk about the pack distribution method at all? You said there was going to be some limits. You can only purchase so much at a time. Are all the packs going to be available at launch, or will you spread that out during different times during the day?
They'll all be available at launch.
Okay. Another question I know people have been asking, because the first couple sets, and this is going kind of one of those confusing things when you onboard new collectors, but there's the simple assets way of doing things, and there's the atomic assets way of doing things, which you guys have experimented with both so far. Where will the OS2 set?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, again, this is one of those shortcomings of just being early in the space that you have to deal with. We're not very happy about having 2 standards, although there's a bridge and it's really not a big deal. But we are going to be launching initially with simple assets.
Okay.
Which is what we did for all the other releases. So it shouldn't be a problem. And you'll be able to actually bridge that over to the other standard, the atomic hub if you want to and need to.
Right. And I assume it's going to be all credit card sales again, like the first 2 releases. Will there be any wax sales for packs?
No, it'll all be credit card.
Okay. All right. So that's pretty good. Do you have anything else you wanted to share about OS2? I have a couple other questions. But anything else you want to share about OS2 with collectors?
Nothing beyond that. I think it's going to be a fun set to collect. It's the 35th anniversary, and it's the first time we've put it in, Series 2 in digital.
Right.
You mentioned on blockchain. It's going to be historic. And, I know that I go in and buy all these things, and my wife's not at all happy with how much I spend. But I do it genuinely because I understand how cool it is, and I love the material anyway. I love GPK, but it's also I realize that it's fun to get in on this early end of this developing platform.
Right. So let me ask you. I want to finish with a few questions on the future, and I know you can't reveal anything, but I kind of just want to get your opinion on kind of where in your mind things are headed at Topps for digital. Kind of in the short term, after we're done with OS2. As far as the GPK space looks for the Wax blockchain, are you guys going to have plans? I mean, are we going to see OS3, OS4, OS5? Are there going to be other online releases, re-released on the Wax blockchain? Kind of what are your guys' plans going forward for the rest of this year in 2021?
That's a good question. And I think, we might do a little bit of a cool down after doing 2 big releases, this year. We may do some smaller things, but, like we talked about before, Jeff, I am working with the team on the physical side, and we're looking at maybe really lining up to some of their releases and doing some things like putting these redemption cards that give you access to unique blockchain digital cards. So I think that's probably where we're going to go, and we're looking at maybe some other properties for 21. I mean for 20.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask as well, because we talked about at the top of the interview. You guys have so many licenses at your disposal. Now, of course, you have to work with your partners, and they have to give the buy-in for you guys to do that. But, I mean, I could just imagine how big something like Major League Baseball on here would be, Star Wars would be. really the sky's the limit. Have you had those discussions with your partners?
Yeah, we have, and there's a lot of interest. There's, some concerns that, are understandable for these big brands and properties, but they're very interested. They understand that, blockchain's probably going to be here to stay and is going to get pretty big and be a fundamental part of digital collecting. So they want to start to do some things, and we're working with them to do that.
Do you think we won't see something like? Do you think we'll see 2021? You think we'll see something where we have some partners join the fray?
I think there's a very good chance of that.
Okay, great. How about the opposite? I mentioned redemption cards. Have you guys given any consideration to actually debuting new art? Garbage Pail Kids. You have Sickbo, Inkstrom, David Gross do new cards. They debut on the blockchain, and either just sell them that way, or have the reverse be true, to where, say, maybe when you collect the set, you can then buy the physical version of the set, and then Top ships in the physical version. Have you guys thought about that as an idea?
We absolutely have, and it's just very possible there might be some things in this existing OS2 special 35th anniversary set.
Oh, well, that's a great little tip there. I hope people stick to the end of the interview to hear that. That's interesting. So one last thing I wanted to bring up, and I've got an idea. I'll run it by you, see what you think. But one of the things collectors like to do is display their stuff. I don't have a display to show you here necessarily. We recently moved, but they got curio cabinets with all their GPK merchandise, sketch cards, right? Things are displayed on shelves, right? Or the binders, they like to flip through them. I don't know that exists yet for the blockchain in a good form. Have you guys given any thought to a mobile app that just allows you to display your collection in a binder type of sheets, share it online in Twitter, Facebook, or rainbow collectors, right? They collect one character, but they collect all the different versions of the character. Have you guys given any thought to that?
Yeah, we definitely have. And, I think about how our existing mobile business will converge with blockchain all the time. And that's part of it. And so I think that absolutely will be the case, and probably, in a lot of ways sooner than later. But, what I get excited about too, looking even further out, there are companies out there, people right now are buying not only digital collectibles, but digital art, like blockchain art, where it's proven that this is an original, authentic, and, one version only. And there's a company out there that's making a digital frame where you can actually display your art. And I do believe, I'm excited about that, because there is some really great stuff, and you can cycle through maybe the blockchain art that you have. And so I think the ability to display and showcase digital collectibles is really going to grow over time. And we'll try to do everything we can to help that along, in our apps and, websites and things like that. But there are also other companies out there working on hardware and other things to display it as well.
Okay. So finally, my pitch for something you could add to a future set. So you guys have done sticker sets in the physical world, where they have little 20, 30 page albums, and you guys sell little dollar packs of stickers in Target. They've done it for some Disney sets. I think you guys have the NHL sticker license that does something similar to that. They do it for MLB stickers, right? And historically, Garbage Pail Kids, when they were released in other countries outside the United States, they always came with an album where you could peel the stickers and stick them in the album. So here's my idea. You create an album that's an actual NFT. You guys could sell the albums to collectors, right amount. And then as people collect the base cards, they could then choose to burn their base card and stick it in their album. So you add value to the album, you can display the album, and it also takes, so you're getting rid of the base card just like you would in the physical world. So you're removing it from the card count in the physical world. What are your thoughts about my pitch there?
Hold on, I'm writing it down. No, I think it's great, and I think the whole burning mechanic, that's something we do in our mobile apps. We call it crafting, where you can, and convert it into a higher rarity, or even, make a recipe of things, and it's fun. The collectors love it. And I think this in particular is a really great idea, because then you've got this very special album, and I think it's a great idea.
And it adds value. You can have a created album that you can then have more value to, as an NFT itself. And one last question, because people will kill me for not asking. You talk about burning. Is there an update? You mentioned on a previous interview at your DigiCon that you guys are going to working on a burning mechanism for the Tiger King base cards. How's that coming along?
Yeah, we feel a little bit badly, me in particular, because I did announce it, that we haven't done that yet. And what we just ran into a problem that we talked about a little bit before, which is these different standards. Those were actually created in the simple asset NFT standard, and
Right.
the burning mechanism currently is on the atomic standard. And so there wasn't an easy, quick way to do that, but we're going to work on that and enable that soon. So we are working on it, and we apologize that we couldn't get it out faster, but that was the issue.
Okay, but it's still planned. You guys are still working towards that goal.
That's right, we are.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, Tobin, for joining me. I appreciate it. I hope I was easy enough on you to ask you too many tough questions, and thank you for giving the information to the collectors. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. And I'm happy to do this again, Jeff. I think it's a great way to introduce what's happening in blockchain. So I'm happy to jump on another interview in the future.
Awesome, great. Thank you.